When I started my channel, it was in 2021, and it was a year of a lot of new firsts. Now, this is at a point where Laravel 8 had come out. It had inertia built into it with Fortify, Sanctum. It had Jetstream and a bunch of other tools that were used by default if you wanted to have a Vue installation included with your Laravel project or React installation or what have you. Now, as I said, it was a year of firsts. One of the big firsts I did was putting videos on this channel, which meant learning how to record, learning how to edit, learning how to speak on camera, or, well, just speak into a microphone and hear my own voice, as well as learning all of these new things at the same time. And a huge motivation for me to start the channel was to build the skills that I wanted to have in PHP, Vue, in React, anything really revolving coding. And so this was the first project that I did. And as you can see, it was a little rough around the edges. Hey guys, today we are going to start working on a new project. It is a Yeah, as you can see, that was incredibly rough, but that's where I was at the time. Now, a lot of things have changed over the years, not only with me, but also with Laravel, right? It still pretty much uses inertia if you want to do an integrated system with Vue or even with React without having to create an API. You want everything in the same project. It's your preference, right? Whether or not you have it in the same project or outside is either down to your preference or it's down to what kind of project you're trying to build. If you're trying to build an API so that you can add whatever front end you want, then that's a different story. But this I like in particular because I don't really mind, for my purposes, having Vue within the project or having React within the project without having a separate API, because a lot of times I don't really intend to make it anything else or put any other front end on it, but inertia eliminates that. Some of the things that we have in here I really want to use and I want to do the updated versions of. One thing is with the authentication. We're going to do a couple of things with that. We're also going to do a couple of things with the custom default photo, because now since Laravel isn't using Jetstream anymore, that functionality is still kind of built in, but it's also not kind of built in. So we're going to do something to make it so that we can do that for our users. Vue also has its own components, and I don't really remember how we did it back then, but they're different, right? Now that Laravel uses shadcn and Lucide, we have icons already kind of baked into the installation, so we're not going to really need to install Font Awesome. We also have a friendship system where I did another project where we just focused on that friendship system. What I've done is I've gone through and I've cleaned up a lot of the functions that we have. And even though we still have those functions, we're going to be using a couple more of them and we're going to be cleaning that up a lot. So that's something new that we're going to have. We're not going to be needing Sweet Alert. We are going to be using something for that, as well as we're going to have a toast notification for that. That's already baked in. We won't have to worry about that. The scrolling is going to be interesting. We are going to do pagination for one of the pages. Inertia has something for that we are going to be using. So we'll get to that, as well as notifications. So this time, I believe I used Echo with these notifications. And this time we're actually going to be using Reverb, which is, well, I'll tell you my feelings about it when we get to it, but it feels like a lot less code and a lot less configuration on your part to do it. We'll just get to that when we get to that. Also, some things I have learned since then about events and listeners that will make things a lot neater for us. The chat rooms, again, we're going to be using Reverb to handle that, and a couple of other things. So that's pretty much it. Let's open up the project so we can get a brief look at what we have. Now, again, I have used some things, and there's some things that we can add too. I'm kind of feeling like maybe I want to have a count of the users, the active users, or have a live count of that. We'll see how it goes. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. But we can go ahead and register a user. And as you can see here, the fields are the name, username, gender. We have a drop down here. We have the email, password, confirm password, and that's pretty much all I changed. I did add the username to this so that we can have that included, as well as the gender fields. And hopefully I have made this whole process a lot less just discombobulated from before. I was trying to do too much at once and it just was really messy, right? So this project, we're going to be cleaning stuff like that up. So we'll go ahead and register a new user. As you can see, all of those fields are filled in. We can create an account. And then we have a dashboard here, and the dashboard is going to have our posts as well as our friends are going to be able to post to our profile, and it'll be on our dashboard. And we have members, and as you can see here, we can go to people's profiles. People are listed here. I've already seeded the database with this information so that we have it. We can also like, we can also dislike. We can do it only if they're friends. We also have a suggestions list, which just has a list of different users in case we want to add any new friendships. And we also have our friends listed here. In our chat rooms, we have these going on, but because I'm not running Reverb right now, it's not going to update altogether. This is what's coming from the database, from the seeding that I did, as well as having different city names. And then you can join, and then, you know, like I said, Reverb isn't really loaded here, so you're not going to see our user, but you can also type stuff in here. Because Reverb isn't connected, it's not going to work too much, but then you can see current chatters, and all this information will be loaded up once we get that set up. We also have notifications. We have a notification list down here. We have unread. If we do get notifications, then they'll be displayed here. We'll be able to read them. We'll be able to delete them. We'll be able to go to them or whatever and have that. And I just left pretty much the default for the profile settings down here. I've added the username to this so that we can have that. But if you go to settings, you can see I have also included this update user information for the avatar, and we'll be able to change that. So we'll be able to just go in and click one, open it, then we'll have it here. And if we save, then it'll save down here as our new thing. And I just pretty much copied the same sort of Jetstream thing that we had going on with that. And again, with the default settings, you can delete the account and update. You can also do the token system to set up security tokens. And you can also change from light mode to dark mode and have that be your thing. And that's pretty much it. That's really what I wanted to show you. As you can see, it's a much simpler type thing, and I really just used the default styling because to me the styling doesn't necessarily matter, because to me the functionality is what's important. If it works, then make it look however you want to look. These are all pictures I just picked up from the internet, and that folder with pictures I had is the same folder that I used for the initial one I did in 2021. How we're going to do this is pretty much how I've been doing it recently, where videos get released pretty much weekly. I'm not going to have time to do them more frequently than that, so the new videos will be showed up on the first week. Members will have first access to it, and then the following week everyone else will be able to use it. Members will also have access to the code weekly, whereas everyone else will have access to the entire code base at the end of the project. Not only that, the images and stuff that we use, any of the assets that we use, the pages that we use, any of the files that I'm giving you guys associated with this project. If you are a member, you will have access to those within the project itself, and everyone else will have a download link where they can click straight to my Google Drive while we're recording the project. And then at the very end, it'll be included in the code. So that's really one of the huge benefits of the memberships. Everyone will have access to it because I do believe knowledge should be free. But if you want the early access, then that will help me be able to get stuff out to you. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button, as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.